H.O. Penn, probably like 70, 75 years.
Their equipment and their service is just, nobody can compete with them.
The ability to call an H.O. Penn is what we always rely on.
Everything that we do, how we operate, we live and breathe by our values.
You know, I just got my foot in the door and I loved it ever since.
I was just going to college in Connecticut, and my family was in Pennsylvania, and they were coming up for Parents' Weekend in the fall. And I said, Jesus, this is wonderful. You know, everybody wants to come see me. I didn't want to come see me. You know, they were looking at H.O. Penn. My family acquired H.O. Penn in 1965. 1921, Ginsburg Penn was put together. Their first operation was down in the Wall Street area. Ham Penn bought Ginsburg out, and that's then led to the founding of H.O. Penn Machinery Company in 1923. Things were going well. H.O. Penn was able to do reasonable amounts of business even during the Depression. And then we got to World War II.
Bulldozers could be used to crush machine gun nests, could be used to repair bombed out roads, build airfields. It was on the front lines, it would be shot up pretty badly, and it would be sent back to us. So we did a lot of that repair work, flipped it around and sent it back out there to help the war effort. My grandfather was a heavy highway contractor when Hamilton Penn passed away just after World War II. He loved the contracting business, but he loved equipment even more.
My father actually went to Caterpillar with his brother, and they were in business together, and asked Caterpillar if H.O. Penn was available. Caterpillar said, well, we have management in there, but we do have this new opportunity in central Pennsylvania. And so in 1948, they formed Cleveland Brothers. I was a year old when we moved to Pennsylvania.
When you thought in the past of construction equipment, it was like the Cat D8. It was rough and tough, and you couldn't kill it, and you could push a mountain down with it.
My first actual job was, believe it or not, at 14 years old. My dad ran I-84 in Middlebury, Connecticut, and he said, you're going to work for the dynamite crew.
When I started, Caterpillar was allocated to dealers in a very limited way. The salesman would show up and say, I've got a D8 coming in next week. It's the only one I'm going to get for 2 months. Do you want it? The price never entered the discussion. It was, yeah, I need that machine. That was my first encounter.
There was a salesman back in the 60s that used to get to a hotel near LaGuardia Airport about 10:30 or 11 o'clock and sit there at the bar and wait for his customers to come in. There was a limited number of machines available, and he'd basically write a contract on a napkin. So it was a different time.
You look at our loaders, they're all cats. If you look at our graders, they're all cats. All of our dozers are cats, and they all came from H.O. Penn. They did it right.
The decision for a very large contractor to buy a $500,000 machine seems unbelievable, but that same decision for a small contractor that's buying an $80,000 machine is just as daunting.
I didn't know anybody. I was a nobody. I went in there like nervous. Like, holy shit, this is a big company. And I was like, what am I gonna do? It's like, God. So I ordered my backhoe, the first backhoe. It was a big purchase, a lot of money. You're nervous, but they made it really super easy, super nice. Did all the paperwork, you know. A couple weeks later, machine shows up. She shows up in your yard. Like, wow, this is fantastic. This is easy, you know? And it happens every single time that way. You go look at anything, they send over some papers, and the machine just shows up. It's a crazy system.
Every deal for us, doesn't matter, big or small, it's still the same thing. It's their lives, it's their livelihood, and we're there to help them to be successful in business.
Back in the early 90s, when we started the technology division, we were really starting to gain steam and momentum with data centers to a point where we went out for a national contract with Caterpillar and H.O. Penn, and they became our go-to vendor for a whole multitude of clients around the country.
A data center cannot go down. If the local utility happens to fail, the data center must stay on. Our generators that we provide is that backup. Without power, there is no internet, there is no data center.
One of the stories my father would tell was a gentleman coming in who really wanted to see him and say, you know, we had the blackout. I was on the operating table. And if it hadn't been for your generators continue to supply power, he says, I'd be dead right now.
This business runs sometimes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You've got to have a devotion to the business.
Very many pieces of our equipment have 100 gallons of oil in it. That oil needs to be changed on an annual basis. New York Stock Exchange requires that the oil come in 5-gallon cans and that every can is X-rayed, placed inside a small elevator that probably 2 of us could not stand in, and then brought to the roof.
The challenge is getting the machine to the site. The machine actually has to be assembled on site. And if you can imagine what that's like, moving a 170,000-pound excavator through New York City streets, it's challenging.
When you see the New York City skyline, you're going to know that the bulk of those skyscrapers, those buildings, were actually excavated with Caterpillar equipment.
Whether it's the subways, whether it's the bridges, our customers are working in all of those areas. And then on the power generation side of it, pretty much anywhere you point to in New York City has got our generator sets. And the generator sets throughout Long Island or in Connecticut and north of the city.
The highest amount of pride that I have for this company is our ability to put every hand on deck to respond to whatever local emergency will occur.
As a result of Sandy, H.O. Penn helped us get up and running and never stopped, while the rest of downtown we watched flood out and lose power and be out for months.
It's basically in our DNA. We're so used to when a storm's coming or there's an outage, our people jump right into it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
When 9/11 happened, you know, and the tragedy of the towers coming down, and there was an enormous amount of need for different types of equipment to be down there. And our technicians really stepped up and were able to work, you know, countless long shifts to be able to keep the machines running, to keep the effort going.
It became a challenge to tell people it's time to go home because they were so focused on wanting to do the right thing for what it is that we do.
Did you have any second thoughts about H.O. Penn delivering at the level you needed them to deliver at?
Never.
I remember hearing a story about my grandfather and going out to the Staten Island landfill in a very nice suit. And there was a problem with a D8, and he just took off his jacket, jumped up on the machine, and troubleshot the machine right then and there and figured it out.
They make you feel like it's not a big company, like we're here to help you. And they do. You know, if you got a problem, they'll help you figure it out. And I've needed their help quite a few times, and they've always come through.
Recently, we had buying some pavement equipment from H.O. Penn, and it was unavailable. And they said, we can't find it. We don't have it. We don't know. It's nowhere. And I said, hey, I'm telling you, I have paving to start, and I need it for that date. It came. They got it. At no small expense. Not the best deal for them, I'm sure. But they delivered. And those are things you remember.
Here at H.O. Penn, we've been operating for quite some time now with a system called Managing by Values, which means you look for all-win solutions, and you have a set of values that really dictate how you make decisions.
It's not something that we put on a sign on the walls and just walk by. We actually operate in that way. And everything that we do has to align with our values, or else it's not going to happen.
Brian Moulton went to Afghanistan years ago, and the company bought him the top-of-the-line bulletproof vest to bring over there, which just says a lot. You know, here's a guy serving his country. Here's a company standing up, giving an employee the best protection they can. That just says a lot about the integrity of H.O. Penn.
I am so optimistic about what the future brings for H.O. Penn. I think the group of people and the technology that we apply today is just so well set and flexible to absolutely optimize the products that we sell and the services that we provide.
Our willingness as an organization to embrace the change that's required to do things differently, and to keep up with a ever-expanding, faster-paced environment with greater numbers of customers that we're working with and greater number of pieces of equipment, that's going to continue to require us to figure out how to do things faster and better and more efficiently. But again, the entire time we're always focused on it's a relationship business. It's never going to be a transactional business, and that will never change.
I'm very proud of the legacy of H.O. Penn. Few companies can say that they're as old as we are, 100 years old. And I think a lot of that has to do with how we have managed to serve our customers over those years. And we do that by taking care of our employees. We do the best job for our customers that they can. And I'm looking forward to handing this off to the next generation at some point so they can continue to do the same thing.